a complex topic. Most people are worried on that front end. Let me protect, let me recover. But when we look at it holistically as a bigger problem across all technology, right, for all CISOs, the first unpopular discussion is really around insurance is an overused crutch. Again, it doesn't mitigate the risk, right? You're just transferring it, and you're going to be spending more and more and more in doing that. And you're going to keep yourself exposed to not only ransomware attacks, but other types of attacks. So you're funneling your resources into transferring risk instead of making your organization healthier, stronger, more protected over time. And if you go down that path, it's simply not sustainable, right? There is a crash and burn at the end of the day. Either the insurance rates will get so high that you can't afford them, and now you've spent all your money over the years doing that, and you have a horrible security program, right, that's insufficient in so many areas, or it's just not a good position to be in. It's not sustainable. So that'd be the first thing, that insurance is an overused crutch by society. The second one, and this is probably the most controversial and the ugliest discussion that we have in the industry, is ransomware's not going to go away by trying to have everybody have perfect protection, right? It's not economical. Everybody can't afford to implement all the top tier protections and training and everything and protect against all types of ransomware. Trying to protect, especially against social engineering, it gets very, very tough. The economics aren't there. You can spend a fortune, and yet an attacker can send a single email and bypass all of that by a user that clicks on something. So again, there's some economics here that we have to look at, and the behaviors we have to look at. And there is no silver bullet for solving the overarching problem. And when I mean solving, I mean being able to control it in such a manner that it's no longer a major problem for the industry. There is no silver bullet. There's no easy fix. The best solution that's being discussed, and this is my opinion, and I've held it for a while as well, there's many others also agree, is we have to stop the money flow. Because as long as the money continues to flow to the bad guys, we're empowering them, we're fueling them, we're encouraging them, and we're giving them tremendous resources to get better, to do more research, to expand, to attack faster, and you won't be able to compete. The world won't be able to compete. So we are funding our enemies, and we can't do that. So we must stop the flow. But right now, organizations want the option to be able to pay, because in the short term, it seems pretty economical to do that sometimes. Hope that you don't get impacted, but if you do, I've got insurance, or I'll just pay it and be done with it. You're going to be victimized again and again and again, by the way. But it hurts the entire industry. And we've seen situations in the past where the incentives, right, that normally drive us to good conclusions aren't there. We've seen it in privacy before. We've seen it in financial sector and healthcare sector, so on and so forth, where regulation actually had to come in and say, no, these are the rules. This is what you can do. This is what's not allowed. And everybody complains, oh, it'll be too expensive. Sarbanes-Oxley is too expensive. Privacy, GDPR, oh no, that's too expensive, right? The reality is it needs to happen. Otherwise, everything goes off the rails. I am not a big fan of regulation. In fact, I hate regulation, with the exception of when it needs to address a strategic problem where the incentives are not aligned to drive the industry to get where it needs to go. What we actually need, and everybody hates this idea, myself as well, but it is the best idea out there, is establish regulations that simply state people, companies, organizations are not allowed to pay digital extortion. As soon as we do that, we sever the money flow. And the attackers, they are driven. They are financially motivated. They are driven to pursue the money. And if all of a sudden, right, and it would have to be rolled out, after a year or so, but if that dries up for ransomware, they will abandon the ransomware types of tactics because they know they're not going to get paid. and they will probably return to other types of tactics, which are less profitable, but at least profitable, right? In areas that are more traditional, that we have much more control over, that we have better tools to protect ourselves, and the losses are much smaller. And again, it's a very controversial idea to basically outlaw the payment of ransomware. We've seen it happen. This type of methodology works in all sorts of historical precedents, whether it's, protecting wildlife animals, to extortion attempts in Italy, where they actually banned, people were getting kidnapped by the mafia in Italy. And the government had to come in and basically ban people from paying off the attackers. And they did. And all of a sudden, kidnappings dropped, right? So it does work, but it's a painful few steps to get there. So that's something that people don't really want to talk about. And they probably won't until we get to a point that there is so much pain and agony around ransomware that the desperation, people finally step forward and do it. And we may be coming to that point. We're seeing some indicators right now. I think it's over 70% of all ransomware is now tied to Russian entities, which also means we're funding nation states that are causing wars, right? Do we want to do that, or do we need to put a stop to that? If you leave it to the individual businesses, they're only looking at their bottom line, they're okay in paying, and a vast majority of them do. Regulation is probably needed in this rare instance, and it's not a popular topic.